So they want refs to be fined if they make mistakes. And I could not disagree more with this. It puts extra pressure on refs to make plays when it matters the most. And let's just be honest about it. I don't think people know this, right? So if you're an entry-level ref in the NBA, you're probably making $250. If you're a seasoned ref, you're probably making about $550,000, right? And you can make it's a lot of money.
I think I'm gonna be a ref.
But at the end of the day, if you're going to fine refs, it's going to make them more nervous down the stretch.
They're giving up their chips.
Exactly. To make calls. So they're probably going to be way more reluctant to make the calls because they want to get the calls right. So, like, why wouldn't you just go back to review plays in the monitor?
Slow it down, though, right?
Yeah, if you want to, it's going to create more stoppage time. But if people are complaining about getting the calls right, go review monitor plays. Like, give coaches extra challenge flags to use throughout the course of a regular NBA game.
But you, as an ex-NBA player, though, do you mind stoppage time? Because in football, I don't care. Whatever, just get it right.
I don't care if you get the call right.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm LeBron James, you want to add on the extra. It's not going to take you 10 minutes to see that was a foul.
Yeah, a lot of it's the speed. I mean, there's the technology to get a call better than the original call.
Sometimes it took in NFL. It used to take them dudes 8 hours to come from under the hood.
On my couch, I could see within 5 seconds.
That's my thing, Max.
Yeah, no, you're right, Jay. The other thing about I like CJ McCollum's a smart guy, but that's a terrible idea to find. You don't get your performance on the job. You don't get docked pay as though you've done something wrong for missing a call. Like a baseball player, basketball player, football player doesn't get less money because they strike out at that moment. They don't get dig into your pockets to fine you as though you did something
wrong. In basketball, Jay, do they? And I don't know this. That's what I'm asking you. Do they reward the referees that do a good job through the course of the season to the postseason?
Yeah, they end up getting playoff games.
So they get playoff games. So do they not fine them? Do they dock them something?
Well, you don't make the same level of pay if your performance isn't at a certain threshold to do postseason work. What I frankly think the NBA should do, I think the NFL should do this too. Mm-hmm. You should create public records of what referees get what calls right compared to what they get wrong, and let it be tracked. Like, they already have records of it anyway.
And we don't want that in the public.
Why not? They already have it anyway, so this way
Because people out here in this world that we live in don't want that.
Come on, man. It's like every time I see Scott Foster, and I like Scott Foster, but every time I see him do a CP3 game, I'm like, oh, man. Because I know what that record is. Like,
but
so
is that more him reffing CP3, or is that just a luck of draw?
But wouldn't you? But if your team is getting to a Super Bowl, or if your team is getting to the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA,
yes,
wouldn't you like to see the track record of that referee throughout the course of that season to say, you know what, that guy?
No, we do though, Jay. Our good coaches. I don't know about all coaches. All the coaches that I've had, which were the good coaches, they let us know the officiating crew and what the officiating crew does, and such and such has a lot of holdings. He's gonna call this crew on the push. Keyshawn, don't push the guy.
Don't push the guy. So
keep your hands tight because they've got X amount of pass interference on the offensive side. If you reach block, make sure you reach block in this way. Don't twist the guy because they looking for this. If you knock down the quarterback, help him up because they don't like when you don't help the quarterback. So you get
it's like Tony Brothers. Like, don't yell at Tony Brothers. He's more apt to give you a tech than other guys.
Or, hey, such and such likes you a lot, man. He's got your back.
But wouldn't that be nice for if the public just had a record of how many calls you got right as opposed to how many calls you got wrong, especially in the 2-minute report in basketball? That's a big thing, man.
I know, but I don't need the public.
Why not?
I just don't.
Why not? They're part of the game.
Yeah,
I think it's an interesting point.
By the way, Max, the referee Twitter association came out after LeBron lambasted them on Twitter and apologized
as they
about missing a call.
Yep.
So they're already catering to the public anyway.
Hey, guys,
you might as well let the public have an insight into it.
Before we wrap this up, yes or no, does the NFL have an officiating problem? Yes or no? Not that it's perfect or imperfect, but does it have a problem that needs to be addressed?
No, I don't think so.
Jay, what about the NBA?
No, I think the Lakers have an officiating problem. I don't think the NBA does.
Oh. What do you think about stars always sitting out these games?
I mean, nobody detests it more than I do, but I've come to accept it. I've got to stop, complaining about it because it just gets my blood pressure up. It is what it is. It's not going away. I think even if they shorten the season to 70 games, played over the same amount of time, I still think guys would find a way to play 60. Like, it's just so it doesn't matter anymore. But here's the thing. We just have to tolerate, for the most part, up to this point, because now you're going to start to see, number one, guys playing more frequently, guys starting to come back.
Meaning second half basketball,
correct.
yeah.
Key guys coming back that teams have been without for a while. And that last stretch run before you get into the playoffs, and obviously the 2 months of the playoffs, if you love basketball, it just doesn't get better. The best players playing their hardest, that's what you ask for. But the regular season can be a tough watch, and it's a tough job for me as an analyst to cover it when you're trying to talk about games in which key guys and star players aren't playing a lot of nights. Very difficult to break down exactly what that means.
Legs, is officiating a problem in the NBA? Because people seem to think it is in professional sports, whether it's baseball with the umps missing strike calls, or football with flags being thrown that shouldn't be thrown, or flags that should be thrown is not thrown. And then you got the LeBron James issue the other night against Boston. It seems like it just opened up everybody's eyes.
Yeah, it is a problem, and here's how you know it's a problem. It's a problem because it's not just – the average fan is always going to talk about officiating, right? Every night. Their team, somehow, the officials cost them the game. We understand an overreaction on the part of the fans a lot of nights. But when you have people that, watch it every night and you do it for a living, and it's becoming this glaring and this often you've got to talk about it, it's a problem. But here's what I will say, in a little bit in defense of the officials. I can't imagine anything more difficult now than doing that job for two reasons. Number one, physicality's been taken for the most part out of the game, right? This is a wide open game. The game is played at the 3-point line. It's almost as if now when there is contact in the lane, it's foreign to officials now because the rest of the game isn't officiated that way. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, imagine doing a job in which every detail of it was shown on replay with 27 different camera angles and super slow-mo. So every single time you blow your whistle, you now have the propensity to be second-guessed on was that the right call or not. It's never been more difficult to officiate, so I'm going to give them a little bit of slack there. But, look, this play brings a lot of eyes to it, and I'm sorry, you cannot miss a foul across the shooter's arm in that situation.
In your face, you have a perfect view of it, too. Come on.
You got, at that point, honestly, you got 6 eyes that should be watching that play and the potential for contact at the rim. You can't miss it, man. It's egregious.
He didn't miss it. He just swallowed the whistle.
And it cost him a game. I mean, you could sit there and say, a lot of cases, hey, for instance, in the NFL game, did that roughing the passer penalty cost them the game? Well, we don't know because it might have taken a 62-yard field goal, and I don't know if he's going to make that field goal, right?
Yep.
This situation, I'm betting on LeBron James making one of those 2 free throws
all day
to win that game. So that's why you saw the reaction on his part. That's why there's so much talk about it because of who it is, the nature of the game, the national stage that the game was played on, and to miss an obvious foul in that situation when it's right there in your lap as an official, very difficult, and that's why there's so much discussion. And it's a problem every night, but I'm telling you, it's hard for these guys because there's so much scrutiny on every important call because there are so many cameras and replays that are going to catch everything.
Legs, I wanted to get into the reaction of LeBron James because obviously that reaction has gone viral on social media and people coming out saying, oh, the drama, and he's so dramatic. And I'm sitting there, Legs, as a fellow hooper, just like you, and I'm like, okay, all the BS I've heard throughout every single year is, well, guys don't act like the regular season matters. The regular season doesn't matter. So here LeBron James is, 38, 39 years old, that is on his way to breaking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record, single-handedly keeping his team in the playoff hunt, right? Playing in the Lakers versus Celtics rivalry, right, to a degree, the biggest matchup that we have in basketball because of the history that comes along with the game, and actually gets fouled, understanding the history that he's had by bulldozing his way to the bucket and not getting those fouls called, and he reacts because it matters, and now we make fun of him. So which one is it? Do we want players to value the regular season, or do we want them not to care? Because when I see that reaction on social media, it really gets me angry about the whole reaction overall.
You know what, Jay? I'm gonna lean with you on this because, and there's a lot of stuff that LeBron has done throughout his career in terms of theatrics, right, that have bothered me and I've commented on. I agree with you in this particular instance. I think that was 100% genuine, and here's where that was coming from. Look what this guy has had to do in terms of putting this entire team on his back for this long a period of time just to try to keep their head above water. They're currently, I think, at 12th place or something in the Western Conference, but only a couple losses out of the 4 spot.
Yep.
Every one of these, every night, is critical, and when you have taken yourself and put your team in a position to win the game in that fashion, which they would have, either on a converted layup or making 1 or 2 free throws, and then it's taken from you, you know what went in to put you in that position for the first 47 minutes and 52 seconds. You know what went into that to put you in that position and how valuable these games are. I just think that was a frustration moment, and I thought it was genuine. People can mock him for laying on the ground that long, whatever you want to do. I didn't look at it that way. I looked at a guy that was just unbelievably frustrated with the fact that he had done so much to give them a chance to win, knowing that each one of these now is critical, or they could find themselves completely out of even the play-in tournament. And when you add these up, and I think that's what that reaction was. I did not have a big problem with that on the part of LeBron.
I mean, let's go back to the Dallas game, go back to the sack game. There have been multiple times things have happened. And as it relates to the Celtics, plus 19 legs on free throws. The Celtics shot 19 more free throws, 49-20. Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah, the one thing I will say this. I disagree with LeBron a little bit afterwards when he started talking about not just that play, but he started talking about bigger picture as if he never gets a whistle. And I had a little bit of a problem with that because I think if you've gone and looked at his career, I don't think that's the case where you could say LeBron's not the beneficiary of whistles.
When you say public record, what do you mean by public record?
I'm talking about, so we would get this in college and the pros. Okay, we got Tony Brothers. We got in college, we got Teddy Valentine. We get the scouting report on who that ref is, what their tendencies are before the game. You made mention of that in the NFL.
Okay.
But I would like for the public to have a record of, when we come out with a 2-minute report, hey, let's itemize each referee. How many calls has a ref gotten right and gotten wrong in particular games as it has amassed to getting to this game? So there could be some kind of track record. The NBA is already having a record on these referees, right? Will they get a chance to call playoff games, Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals? It's based upon their track record.
But how does that serve, being a public record, how does that serve the game officiating to be called better? How does that help?
It doesn't. It just allows us to understand a referee's tendencies. And it allows fans to have better insight into who is refereeing these games.
So it's more about the fans than it is the result of the game.
Baseball does it.
But the reason I wouldn't want it to be public is because a lot of gaming goes into this sports betting.
Yeah.
I don't need people targeting or harassing referees.
They already harassed them.
Yeah, at the game. Yeah, at the game they do the.
Key, they already know who these guys are,
Jay,
man.
Earlier, Jay, earlier, hold on. You said earlier that the NBA doesn't have an officiating problem. The Lakers do. What did you mean by that?
Because LeBron James.
Because LeBron James. I just kind of reiterated it, Max, about, where they are right now in the playoff hunt. The Lakers are one of the most fouled NBA teams. Like I said, we don't talk about Sacramento Kings. We talk about the Lakers.
Are you talking about that one play?
No, but we lost a number of games this year, at least 6 games at the end because of bad officiating when LeBron James was on the court.
Right, so why? Why?
Because it's LeBron. It's like the Shaq attack. It's like when you was fouling Shaq where you would have to slam him on the ground blatantly.
That's why.
But it's not only LeBron, though. I mean, there have been times where Russell Westbrook, I think it was against Dallas or Sack, was literally
against the Sixers.
That's right.
Embiid held his hand. They didn't call the foul.
But that's a carryover from LeBron James, though, whether you want to believe it or not. It's LeBron on the team. For whatever reason, they don't call him against LeBron, so they're not going to give everybody else on the court.
Yeah, hold on. But it seems like let's separate the issues, though. On the one hand, Key, I'm with you. It's LeBron in the sense that, MJ got officiated a certain way because he got officiated like a guard and then a superstar guard and then the guy. But Shaq got officiated even when he was the man differently because he's so big and strong. The refs are like, come on, man.
I don't know that he got officiated that way in Orlando. Jay, you was in the league back then, so you could tell me.
He got calls with Orlando, but I mean.
He got calls with Orlando.
Yes.
He didn't get no calls with the Lakers.
Yeah.
Because he had gained 100 pounds.
That's what I'm saying. So they was like, you got to slam him to the ground.
My point is with LeBron now, you guys are talking about two separate things. On the one hand, LeBron is officiated a bit like a big who's unstoppable at times because he's so big and strong and fast. It's like, what are you going to do? And he's like, look, you don't have to give me the Jordan calls. Can I at least get the right calls? And then that's one issue. And then another issue, Jay, is you say the Lakers have an officiating problem.
Well, the Lakers
is that related to more than LeBron in your view?
Yeah, but the Lakers are also LeBron. Like the two are intertwined. They're the same thing. You know what I mean? So
see, they're intertwined. It's the same. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Right?
That
We
means
just said
that
the same.
suggests that there's something that LeBron is doing that is causing officiating to go against the entire team as opposed to just him.
It's LeBron. It's the same thing when Shaq played for the Lakers. They were, in my opinion, being officiated different than the rest of the NBA.
The whole team was.
That's the way I saw it. Now, maybe somebody could come up with some data and statistics and prove me wrong, but my eyes tell me that.
The whole team, you're saying?
Yes,
I
the
agree.
entire team.
I didn't think the team. I agree about Shaq. I didn't feel like calls went against the Lakers.
We just talked about what happened with Westbrook against the 76ers, Max.
But Max, there's another interesting point here that I wanted to attack instead of just focusing on LeBron James. It's about refs in general. It's like, when you hear players who are making $40, $45 million a year say about, well, the refs should be fined, and you're like, you made the point earlier, Max, and it was a very good point about the fact that when players have poor performances, they're not fined for their poor performances in those games.
Ooh, it'd be a
So
lot of
I'm not
dudes
going to
hurt.
take money out of referees because I know Tony Brothers. I know Scott Foster. Like the games these dudes travel to, back-to-backs, 3 games, 4 games in a week, it's a lot. Quick turnaround, man. Yeah, commercial. They're flying privately. I mean, they're just getting back. It's a literal grind. It's a grind. So I'm not going to take money out of their pockets. That's why I go back to maybe doing an interview post-game. Let's review these 2 calls. Like I would love to hear the referee on the baseline. What made you miss this call on LeBron James when he literally got hit on the elbow?
So what did he see?
I don't know.
I keep
I'm not
asking
him.
you the same thing.
I'm not him. I don't know. I don't know what he was looking at.
See?
I don't know.
Because okay, so on that slap, you most likely when you're on the court and under the basket, you can hear it, even though the crowd is loud.
You can hear it.
You can hear the smack. You also can see the reaction of the players, the bench.
Look, Key, if I'm looking at you, my left arm goes right in front of your face
I'm
like this.
looking.
You're looking. I mean, you hear that, you're going to hear that.
So,
you're going to see the ball jump out my hand because the ball's not rolling off my fingertips as a layup would typically do.
So typically in football, if a ball is in the air and a receiver's on the sideline, toe tapping the sideline, you might look at the flight of the ball, but the referee's eyes tend to go right to the feet. And then if he checks the feet real quick, maybe he looks up. But that's why you see a lot of challenges and things like that when the ball starts to move, because they don't necessarily see the ball because they go right down to the feet. And then they got to have the other referee come over and tell him, he bobbled it a little bit. And then they go underneath the hood to take a look at it. So maybe his eyes went straight to the ball. You know how when I'm looking at you, I'm not really looking at you, I'm looking through you, and I'm looking at somebody behind you, and you think that, okay, I'm looking at you and I see it? Maybe that's the case where he's looking up and he's looking at the ball.
But the problem is, though, if you have a ref, real quick before we go to break, on the baseline, and you have a ref on the sideline.
His job is to do
I don't know
what?
how the ref on the sideline didn't see that because Jason Tatum's coming from that sideline and slapping. So one of them has to see it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.